For me, it's about the in something intuitive about the colors that we use. That, like, sometimes it can just move freely when I apply different colors, and they will just merge and let things happen. And then it's a very intuitive way for me to work like this in my work. And that's something that I think is quite different from drawing and other medium, which I think is more like you have to think more about each mark making instead of just let it flow. And that's something that I like a lot about working with colors.
For me, painting is just like this constant in my life that's always there. I love it so much because it's more like I like so much the state of mind it gets me to. I think it's the purest way, the most honest way probably that you can express yourself as an artist. That's why I like it so much. And I think I second so much the love of color has so much to do with it. Even if you choose to work in a reduced palette for certain series, I think color is always key to the work, and then the texture of color and what it does. Me personally, as a painter, I'm very interested in texture, so I experiment a lot with that. And it's also I think it's sometimes I think painting is a bit like maths, so it's like problem solving to some degree for me. So you kind of you have an idea, or you pose yourself a problem, and then you kind of go in the street and you solve it, but you solve it in a very different way than you would do it in a maths equation. But I kind of, that's for me the best way of seeing it, So yeah, seeing where it takes you. I think even though the freest work, I think is the one that's the hardest to achieve, because when something looks effortless, specifically when you're not in the figurative way of expression, I think that it's extremely hard to make something that will stand the passage of time. So and that's the kind of problems I like to solve in my studio.
It's a kind of a meditation. I usually work on several works at the same time. I start with the painting, and I leave it when I'm stuck or when it does not flow anymore. So I go to the next one, and I work on the next one. And when the painting, I'm surrounded by start paintings, and when an image calls me, a painting calls me, I go and I feed it. So I'm very kinetic. I have a big studio and I walk around all the time. So it's a kind of a movement, meditation in movement, where it's it depends a lot on my state of mind, and on the weather, on the everything. I mean, it's all the influences that come from outside. We have influences from outside and stuff from inside that has to be thrown on, interpreted on the canvas, and all of this has influence on the choice of colors and on the forms as well. So that makes it that I don't work the same way on Mondays than on Fridays, and in the morning than by night. I cannot understand how you can constantly do the same kind of work, because you are different all the time. Everybody, the moods change, the conditions change, so the works change. My work at least changes all the time. I don't try to be recognizable, but people tell me that you still see that it's mine. That's important. So I think that's all. Well, I thought a lot about who was my master. People say my master was this one or that one, and I didn't find anybody except finally I had a live drawing teacher at the academy who did not tell me anything, and that was the one that made me search and find solutions. I had another one who tried to tell the students how you have to do things, and it took me years to get rid of his teaching. So it was very important for me also, as I do teach sometimes, that I leave the student. I just give some technical input and I leave them find out themselves what they are, what kind of paintings or drawings they want to do. So.
For me, from my experience, I would say that maybe just to continue trying different things and experimenting, like sometimes just don't think why I'm doing that. It's just continue working, and sometimes the realization will come later that you find that everything is connected with, like, finally there is a basic foundation of what based on which you will love to work. So it's always that continue looking for things and trying to connect, but not trying to analyze too much, even if you have doubt by the time you're doing that. And I think it will, like, time will let you know that whether it's this the right one or why you are doing that later on. And you can find that everything, it always is like connected with your practice.
So you asked about the advice. Yeah. Okay. Well, I would probably formulate it a bit in a different way. I think what I'm realizing now, also getting older and having worked already for a while now, is that the whole point is actually to keep going. And when you realize that I think somehow the point in an artistic career is to understand that it goes over a long time, and it comes with very different challenges. And introspectively, I think that is very interesting, because you actually at some point realize that you make the choice to go through this one life that you have as an artist. This extremely difficult choice, I think. So I think that's somehow an advice that I would pass on, to be conscious about this. I think it's an incredibly beautiful way of life, but it's the whole point, I think, of a career is to understand that this is what you're gonna do your whole life. And I think that's very personal, because when you're young, you're excited, you want to have your first shows, publications, you get media, all that. But nothing of that really stays, and at some point everything gets somehow repetitive, and so that's definitely not the point. Recognition, I don't think you get any kick out of that. So really to understand that it's this process, which I think the more you dig into it, the better your work will also be. And I just want to second the thing on, probably a lot of people would think, well, advice should be go get a great education in terms of skills and technique. And me personally, I'm actually opposing myself to learning too much of technique, because I think that it's for the work which I think is interesting, also contemporary, is actually all the work that doesn't apply any technique, because as soon as it gets technique, you come a craft, you're applying something. And I don't understand painting in that way anymore, or art in general. So advice would be avoid getting too much of a technical training, and it's all about ideas, really.
The art market.
Yeah. Tough question.
What you mean, in Luxembourg or as a Luxembourgish artist? Because that's a big difference.
Oh.
But because you have certain, I exhibited at the Art Week several times from beginning on, and I think that there is definitely an art market here, but there are definitely nearly no Luxembourgish artists on it. It's really just, it's more like art dealing. So people investing, and then you have international galleries here. exhibiting foreign. So it's more like a commercial transaction, you know. As it nurtures the market, I think there are very few galleries who actually support the artists that are here, because also I think there are very few who fit into that very defined model of how the art market works at the moment. So I think that the art market in Luxembourg here is not extremely relevant for us, at least. We're kind of outside of it.
Well, on one side you have the art, and on the other side you have art market, which are not connected too much. It's something. It's marketing.
You do think these Turkish artists are well represented in Luxembourg and internationally? How do you feel about this?
Well, you have to. Marketing is very important. If you can be a great artist if you are bad at marketing, or you need somebody to do the business for you. If you have a good gallerist, that's very important for the artist. If you have to do the whole work yourself, it's very hard, because it's profession, and or you are a professional dealer, or you are an artist. Or if you are both, well, some people manage to be reasonable good artists and reasonable good marketing people, so they are very lucky. Speaking of success, that's a big thing. Well, as painters, I think you can use AI to replace your imagination, but AI cannot paint, and AI you can use it. It's a tool. It's a dangerous tool but more for designers. Designers and graphics, and AI can kill a lot of jobs. But for sculpture and painting, I think it will have an influence anyway. But AI cannot take a brush and put some paint on it.
Well, conceptually, I completely agree with you. I love AI because I think it's incredibly stupid in a way. So you can really play with this, challenge yourself, but it's really a model, it's language model. So we should not, it has no reasoning. So in that way, I think it's stupid. Or idiotic in the sense of the word. But I think it's interesting to implement it somehow. As a painter, I don't find it that intriguing. I use it more as a filmmaker, as a writer, to back ideas, to see if they're actually interesting. Because if AI complements your ideas, you realize they can't be really good because it's just a medium that it applies. So in that way, I think. But just to second what you were saying, I was just researching now a project called eDavid. And eDavid is a painter, and it's a robotic arm, and I think it's the University of Luxembourg or something like that, and it's actually fascinating. You should look because it actually does paint pretty well. Yeah. And so it will also eventually come, but then again, you would not only be attracted to something visually, right? You would be attracted in what is behind the painting, right? That you are buying. So if you know it's just done by a machine, okay, it can be visually interesting, but it's not interesting for me to collect it or to have it. I mean, so I don't feel threatened by
I didn't know how to sell the paintings also.
Probably. I don't know. It makes
Your turn. No?
Yeah, I think that AI can be a very good tool, depends on how you use it. And it definitely couldn't replace like human work and creativity in the very simple reason that it cannot see. Because what we say that when we look at painting depends on how we look at the world and how we analyze and how we observe. And all of these then come to like a process for during the creation for us to do something that is based on what we observe the world. And I think that's something very fundamental about, like, for each artist, like the base of our works is based on observations and thinking. But this is something that AI does not do for a reason. Like, it does not see the world. It's just calculate the data. And so that's why I feel that it cannot really replace like artists and like for it replace anybody, I would say.
I don't know. You see that I always find as an artist, the idea of exhibiting, I'm actually never so extremely drawn to it. I enjoy very much making the work, but then I think we choose to paint for a reason, or to express ourselves rather than being there physically. So the exhibit, I like when the works go out and the works find there. So I make that clear distinction between the work being exhibited and the artist. So I wouldn't have this kind of dream place.
For me, I still need to see, like, of course, I would like to push the scale of my work to do something much bigger. So it will be very interesting to find like a specific place for a project. And I think it's also very interesting to make some site-specific projects, and also like not just to put my work into a space, but rather to think about the space, consider the space into my work, and do something that can establish a link, and also that can somehow connect with my own thinking and practice. I think that will be something interesting for me to do in the future.
Yeah, I think your approach is very I shared. So yeah, I stopped dreaming about that kind of things because I don't want to be frustrated. No, maybe on the moon would be nice. Sure. So people will try to find your paintings on the moon with telescope.
Are they gonna be
So maybe they it would be good to make people more interested in space and come away from our stupid things that are happening here and now. It all depends on the space and on the work. You cannot generalize. I cannot. Maybe you can.
Yeah, I like the white cube. I believe in it because I think it elevates the artwork straight away, because an artwork becomes also an artwork because it's placed in a certain specific setting, and nothing does this better than, well, it's culturally we are trained like this, and so to me, I see what it does to my work when I see it in a specific setting which is coded. This is now art, it's recognized as an art piece. It just it does something to it, so I like it very much, and it's clean, and I like that.
I think it will depend on the projects, but normally I think the white cube is a kind of industry standard, and it does like look very natural and can show all the details of the work that can boost like the appearance. But also it can be interesting to especially design some kind of projects in a specific space that can kind of say something not just about the work but about the space as well, or the landscape, the local, like speak about people, landscape, and trying to invent a new narrative. So I'm open with both way of exhibiting my works. Like, it really depends on the project.
No. I think artworks change with the location where they are placed. So you take one painting that works very good in one space and it's shitty not in another space.